In this video, we're going to look at theology. So, theology section supports the schools that have theology classes. For example, if a school has Arabic, if a school has Christian teachings, those like a second section of a school, most especially a school that supports maybe Arabic teaching, you can be able to use this module of theology to manage your Arabic lessons, etc., and even exams as well. So if your school doesn't have theology section, you can skip this section or you can skip this video. But so this video is meant for only those schools that have theology. So theology, first of all, we can begin with classes. So you can be able to create the theology classes from here. So you just come here to theology classes, and then you click on new to create a theology class, and then you can go ahead and select there where this class belongs, and then you go ahead and select the class teacher of that theology class, and then you go ahead and enter the name of this class. For example, I can say P4, okay, maybe primary 4. So let's say this is the primary 4 of the theology class. All right. So after doing so, I can go ahead and enter its short abbreviation. So it can be P4, and then I can explain here some details about this. This class. All right, so that's how you create a theology class. So if you click here, you can be able to add subjects in the theology class. If you click here, you can be able to add the streams in the theology class. This is for classes, schools that support Arabic teachings. So I can go ahead and submit. So if I submit, I'll have this class listed here as my theology class. So this theology class does not have a stream yet, or it does not have a subject yet. So if I want to add the subject in this theology class, there are two ways of how I can do that. One of the way, I can just simply come here to edit, and then click on actions, and then edit. So I come to the tab of classes. To the tab of subject if I want to add subject to this class. So I can go ahead and click on new to add a subject. So I can add, for example, Quran, and then I go ahead and add a teacher who teaches this Quran subject. And if it is being taught by more than one teacher, I can go ahead and add other teachers. I can write some details about this lesson. This subject here. So I can add more subjects. For example, I can go ahead and add fiqh that being taught by this teacher. Maybe I can go ahead and add another subject. For example, tarbiyah that is being taught by this teacher. I can go ahead and add another subject, for example, lugha that is being taught by this teacher. So that's how we add multiple theology subjects into the system on a class. So these subjects, I'm adding them on a particular class, and that is primary 4. I can click on basic information to that class. So after finishing adding those classes, I can go ahead and submit. After finishing adding those subjects, I can go ahead and submit. Those subjects can be added. So make sure that you don't duplicate the subjects. One subject should appear once in a class, not twice. So that's how we add subject to the theology class, and you can see now we have 4 subjects in this particular theology class. So you can add the rest of the classes here. If you have let's say that you have Shuba, if you have P1, P2, you can add those theology classes here if you support theology teachings at your school. So after doing so, I can add theology streams. So I can click on edit, and then on this particular class, then I come here to stream. So I can say maybe have blue and maybe red. So you don't write P4 red, you just write red. The system will take care of the name of the class. So if I submit there, you're able to see that I have 2 streams of theology classes. So that's how you create a theology class. So you can create all the theology classes that you have at your school, and add the subjects and add streams. All right. So after adding those theology classes, the next thing you can do is now to add student in these theology classes. All right. So let's say that you have students that learn in this theology class. So how do you add student in these theology classes? So there are 2 ways. One, you can do it in batch format. Another way, you can do it one by one. So I'll show you, there are 3 ways in fact. I'm going to show you how you can add student through three different ways. So choose the simpler one for you and follow that. So you see here you have 0 students in this class. So I want to add there some students. So one of the way I can just simply come here to student theology classes here, and then I start adding each in a particular class. So I can come here and say new, and then I go ahead and say I enter here the name of the student. For example, I can go ahead and put this student that we've been using for testing, Madeline, this one, and then I add him to this theology class, which is P4. So if you have more than one, they'll be here, they'll appear in the drop down. Then I go ahead and enter the stream where this student belongs, and then I submit. So that student is going to be marked to be in this particular theology class. So here you can be able to find all the students in different theology classes, and you have the ability to filter. Maybe you want to see the student that has a specific class in this term, you can go ahead and filter from there. If you want students that are in a specific stream, you can go ahead and filter. If you want students that are specific, if you want to see the classes of a specific student, you can go ahead and search from here. So that is how you assign a student in the theology class. If you want to modify maybe the stream, you can just simply come here to edit of a certain instance and change the stream of a student of that theology class. So I have changed the stream like that. So I can add as many students in this particular class, and if I come back here, I can be able to see, for example, let me go ahead and add this other student. I can just simply come here and say this other student also, I can add it to this theology class in the stream, and then I can be able to see that this second student has been added. You see? So if I come here to theology classes, I should be able to see that in this class we have 2 students because I've added there 2 students there. You can see it here. So that's how you add students in theology class. That is one of the way. The other way, you can do it in a batch format. So you can come to Student Center and go to active students, and then you reach the active student, you'll be able to find all the students. Let's say you want to focus on per class. So I can say I want maybe P4 class. I can just simply come here, and then I go ahead and select primary 4 from here. And then after selecting primary 4, I can go ahead and search all the primary 4 students, and all of them will show up there. This is in case when I want to do maybe batch operation. If I want to see many students, I can click here, and then that filter will apply and show maybe 100 per page if I change the pagination. So I can select maybe some specific students and put them in in theology class. So those ones that we've already set, you can be able to see in this column of theology stream. You can be able to see them here. So let me change, for example, this student and this student and this student. I want to make them to be in a P4 theology. If I want to do that, that's the second way. Like you can do it in a batch format. So I just simply come and select those students, and then I go ahead and I see here an option. So you have here a batch option on top here, and then it says change student theology stream. Okay, so if I click here, change student theology stream, I'll be able to see all the streams that you have for theology, all the streams. So if you set the stream, it automatically the class will be set. So I can say they should go in P4 blue, and I said the system will process. Ouch, I think there is some issue. I may need to refresh my page, but the system will probably refresh and then set the student to be in that particular theology stream. Let me try to refresh. I think there is a small issue. Let me refresh. All right, let me try to set theology stream. Sorry, change theology stream. Go ahead and set maybe before blue, submit. Yeah, it should process like that. So you have to refresh if you get that kind of warning or an error. So these students that have set, we'll see all of them. They are now in theology blue stream of P4. And if you want to see all the details of the theology classes, you just simply come here and then say maybe I want to see even the theology class. You can be able to set it from here. What is theology class here? So if you select it, even the theology class will be shown here. So you can see these are in a theology class primary 4 and in the stream of primary blue. If there is no class that has been set for this student, for example, some students may not do theology, so there will be no class. So you do this we do this only one time in a term. So I can go ahead and change maybe even this one and put them maybe in red, Let me go and select them, and then I can go ahead and maybe make them be in red. This one were in blue. I can go ahead and select, then come here to change theology class, and then make them to be in red and submit. So by doing so, it's going to set those students that I've selected to be in the red theology class. Theology, okay? That is another way of doing it in form of a batch to a student to appear in what? The theology class. That's the second way. I think that's the simpler way. So if you have many students that you already have admitted and you want to put them in theology classes, you can do it that way to set them. So another way, you can just simply come and edit a student and then come here to theology classes here. So you'll be able to find all the classes that this student has ever been in in theology. So I can as well use, by clicking new, you can set this student to be in a certain theology class. All right, that is also another way of doing it. So this student will now appear to be in a what? In a theology class. So if I can go back and check, I'll be able to see that this student has done what? Has been set to be in a what? In the theology class that I was selected. All right. So that is how you that's how you set theology class. This is the student and they have no stream. So if I want to set the stream of this student, I can just simply come and I can either select this student from here and then I set the stream from up there, or I can just simply come and search this student in theology, student classes, student theology classes here. I go ahead and search by student like this. I'll be able to see the instances of different theology classes. So it doesn't have a stream. I can come here and edit and give that student a stream like that. That's how you set a stream and of a specific student in case maybe you want to make some changes. So you can be able to see all the records of theology classes and say that belong to those classes of theology. You can be able to modify, you can be able to filter. You want to see the theology students in a specific class. That's how you can be able to filter and be able to see them from there. Alright, so that is the students in the specific theology stream. Yeah, so you can go ahead and test the rest of things. Make sure that you don't put don't put a student twice in a certain theology class. You can go ahead and delete a student from the theology class from here. Yeah, so that's how you save the student theology classes and the student theology streams. So in the next session, we're going to go to academics, and then we shall come back and show you how you can set the theology examination marks for students. Yeah, so how do you submit the marks of theology? Let's first finish with the circular, and then we shall come back to the theology, how you set the theology exam, how you submit the theology marks in case you have the theology at your school. All right, so let's meet in the next session where we're going to look at now the academics part of the system.